Okay, afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tutorial 3, the Thursday TUT. Just two announcements, or one or two announcements. Again, the Discord server, make sure you change your student number, your nickname to your student number, else we're going to start kicking you off the server, and you have to keep re-adding yourself until you learn how to change your student number. Change your nickname at least. Second thing, please. For tutorials, it's compulsory to attend a Tuesday and a Thursday tutorial. So you can pick which Tuesday TUT you want to attend. And then you have to attend the Thursday TUT because we might cover new content. I'll get to your question. And that's about it for I'll answer your two questions now. Just hold on. I think that's for the announcements. I can't think of anything else. But okay. The recordings for the tutorial are on Blackboard and on YouTube. I haven't been able to get them to Eve yet. I'm still trying to sort that out in terms of space. But if you go into Eve's notice board, there is a notice with all the links to all the lectures on YouTube with the tutorial links as well. The Saturday tutorial, that is done by Mr. Singh. He runs through the previous week's practical with students to show them where they made mistakes and how to improve. The times for the Tuesday tutorials in the learning guide, have a look there. There's two tutorials, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. I give the morning, Mr. van der Westhuizen gives the afternoon for now. And we might swap oil for now, we do that because I'm giving class when he has his TUT, afternoon TUT. The Saturday isn't compulsory. The Saturday is compulsory if you get a practical mark below 50%. If your prac mark is below 50%, it is compulsory for you. Let me rephrase that one. Each tutorial will generally cover the work we're covering in class, giving a more practical experience. We're not going to do recursion today, how to do designs in recursion, if we have time at the end. Today we're focusing on UML. This is something we have to cover for the remainder of the semester. You will be drawing UML diagrams in your designs. Except for this week's design, it doesn't have UML. From next week on, you will have UML diagrams in your design. And in your semester test and exam, you have to draw UML as well. So I'm going to discuss UML today, what it is, how it affects you, but what is relevant to you, and we can work from there. If we have time at the end, I'll come back to questions on recursion. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, UML is a unified modeling language. It's not something that we just made up. It's a way of designing code on paper almost, or in a design state. It's managed by the Object Management Group, OMG. Of all the things they choose as an acronym, they chose that for the field of software engineering. Okay, so it is a fairly UML attempts to standardize a means of visualizing modeling and designs for software-based systems. So it's something that's quite important. I saw a hand go up. Your question, sir? I'll give you a minute to ask, and then I'll move on. Okay, I'm guessing you lowered your hand. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're going to raise your hand, do unmute yourself to ask the question, else we do just waste time. As mentioned, UML is a standard means of visualizing and modeling software. So UML is something you're going to be doing in first year. You're going to do a class diagram. I know those in doing comp sci are doing class diagrams and interactive sequence diagrams. We're going to focus on the class diagrams. Next year, you will do other design. Next year, do they do UML, Mr. van der Westhuizen?
They do for database.
Okay, so you guys do it for databases. I'm going to only expose you to a fraction of UML. There is a UML guide that is designed by Mr. Blau. The link is there if you want to have a look at it. It's up to you. If you don't want to have a look at it, I don't really mind. It is something that you will be using in third year there, so that doesn't really go away. It's a building block of object-oriented programming. It helps to visualize the system. So the class diagram is a fundamental. It is used across the board, especially in later years. It's going to link to your use cases, your interactive sequence diagrams, and Ms. van der Westhuizen said it links to your database design. So a class diagram is very important. What a class diagram is, I'll explain in a few minutes. But it's important to understand it's not something that is going to go away. You're going to be using it as the years progress. It is actually a very important part of software engineering as a whole, as it forms part of the design. It is part of the design phase of a system. You normally have UML diagrams to represent large systems and how they interact with each other. So it is not UML diagrams. So within a class diagram, you have attributes and operations. Your attributes are your instance variables, your variables in your classes. Your operations are your methods, your functions, your subroutines, are your constructors. Some of these terms I'm using, we haven't explained in class. We will explain in class, so just be informed, just keep that in mind. I am going to try and do a broad spectrum overview of UML class diagrams. So when we cover it in class, you kind of see how it links back to this. So we don't have to do like multiple UML class diagrams. Okay, I just want to rephrase something. We're doing class diagrams. They form part of UML. UML isn't class diagrams, okay? UML is a unified modeling language. Class diagrams is a subsection of UML. So just keep that in mind as well. There's also a way of modeling the connection between classes, which will be discussed as we discuss the type of connection. I'm not going to discuss connections today as it's irrelevant for what we're doing today. Today we're focusing on just how to draw the class diagram. Okay. So a class diagram is built out of three main components. It's a simple rectangle. It's a square box. It has a name, attributes, and operations. So that's what a class diagram looks like in a very, very generic format. We have the name of the class on the top. We have all the attributes of the class listed here. And we have all the operations listed in the bottom. Please, things to keep in mind. We've seen it in the past. Make sure that you have only 2 lines within your class diagram. You have a line separating the name and the attributes, and you have a line separating your attributes and your operations. That's it. No more than that. We do not want to see any more lines than these 2 inside the rectangle. Everyone okay with that? Okay. Later on, I'm emphasizing it and being very pedantic about it is I've seen enough students try and somehow they end up with 4 or 5 lines. For what reason, I don't know. Okay, I'll explain what the plus and minuses mean. We're getting there. Right now, I just need you guys to be comfortable with first section is the name, 1 word normally. We have our attributes. These are our variables, our data type, our instance variables, however you want to refer to them right now. And then we have our operations. These are our methods. Our functions are subroutines. Everyone okay with that? So the 3 distinct parts is name, attributes, operations. Okay. Then from there, to define what the question was, what does the plus, minus, and hash equal mean? That indicates the so here we have an example of an attribute and we have an example of an operation. So we have the minus, the plus, and the hash indicate the visibility. how it is seen and how it is accessible from other aspects of the code. So a minus indicates it's a private, a plus indicates public, a hash indicates protected. Now, protected will only come in later on. I'm not going to discuss what protected is in detail, as that's going to be expanded on in class when you need it. Okay, so for every attribute, for every operation, you must indicate if it's a public, private, or protected. For now, you guys only know public and private, so you'll use a minus or a plus. So that's what that symbol represents. Then you give the name of the attribute, the name of the operation, colon, and then the data type. Now the data type is integer, string, double, long, or even a custom one, which will become visible later on in the lecturing. So in later lectures, we'll discuss custom data types, like you've had records inside records. What is a long data type? Long is a integer, just handles more information. So those are some examples. You also have Boolean, bool, but you'll always provide a data type for an attribute. Attributes always have a data type. Okay. Your operations, these are your methods. So if it's a function, it will return a data type, integer, string, Boolean, double, whatever. If it doesn't return something, it uses the keyword void. Now, what is a method that doesn't return something, ladies and gentlemen? Good, good, good. Seeing the right answer pop up. Subroutines. Okay, your subroutines don't return anything. So their data type is void to indicate it doesn't return. So you'd have, I'm going to go through examples of how to draw the diagrams, but I'm just breaking down each part. So here is the general outline. Right now, we're focusing on what each part of this means. So again, visibility, the name of either operational attribute, colon, and then the data type. And then your data types would be whatever it is. Void would indicate it's a void one. Now, let me just also, I made a mistake here. There should be a bracket at operations. Operations always have a bracket because they are a method. I just made a mistake. I'll fix that now. Things to look at as well. Actually, I do it here as well, so we can handle it here. If your attribute is an array, so say you have an array of marks or an array of names or an array of something, you have to indicate it in your class. So what is done is you say it's a field of visibility, so it's private, it's name, square bracket, and then you indicate min to max size and its data type. So you have, I'm giving you two examples here. I'm giving marks 1 to 10. So here we have an array that can be of size 1 to 10. And here we have assignments of size 0 to star. Now the star means any size. We don't know what it's going to be yet. So this is an undefined sized array. But it still means that we can have either nothing in the array, or we can have an infinite amount, an unknown maximum size of the array. So this means if you don't know the size of the array just yet, you'd go 1 to star maybe in most cases. But if the array could be nothing, it also could indicate a 0. But here, in this case, the size of the array is 1 or maximum size 10. You can't have more than 10 elements in this array for your attribute, for your attribute. You guys okay with this aspect? Okay. I'm trying to break it down into each subsection so it's somewhat easy to digest. So going back up here, if this attribute was an array, you would have a square bracket here indicating a size as well. With your operations, if it has parameters, which is sometimes the case, like your functions you're doing for this week have parameters. So I'm using the example of your one that you're very used to working with is your private place results subroutine. It has R, C, and T as parameters. How it would be represented inside UML is seen at the bottom here. We'd say it's private, the name of the operation, so the name of the method, place results, open bracket, R, give its type, comma, C, give its type, comma, T, give its type, and then colon, void, to indicate it's a subroutine. So this is how you would indicate an operation inside a UML diagram. We're going to put all of this together in a few minutes, but I'm trying to explain each section. So when you need to do bigger ones, you can do it later on. The writing format of an array is only for classes. Correct. This is specifically to UML. I'm also trying to stick to UML that you'll be using in third year. No, colon. The question is, do we use colon or as? There's no as at all here. Let me go back up. If you see here, never as, it's always colon. It's colon and then the data type. The three dots indicate, yeah, the three dots is also mandatory. Normally an array, yes, but remember, UML isn't specific to a language. Normally an array with brackets, yes, but remember, we're using UML. UML is a standardized modeling language for any type of program. So this isn't specific to VB, it isn't specific to any language. It's UML. So this is how you would represent an array inside UML. If you put brackets, it won't be seen as an array. Okay, so it must be square brackets indicating a size, if it has a fixed size or an unknown size, depending on your situation. This is how you would do your place result, a subroutine, okay, inside UML. Okay, another section we have to consider is categories. Since we're going to have different types of methods, okay, in class today we discussed that we had property methods, but that's not the only methods we're going to have. We're going to have functions, we're going to have subroutines, we're going to have something that's known as a constructor, which are going to come out later on. But as I mentioned, this is a lecture, not a tutorial on all aspects of UML that are relevant, so we don't have to keep coming back to discuss small pieces, or if we need to, it's only a small fraction, something we add. So grouping operations is about grouping the operations into different categories, because we're going to have these are the three categories we're going to have. We're going to have constructors, which I'll explain next week. I showed you property methods this morning, and we're going to have normal methods, which are your other functions and subroutines. So you will have a section of just property methods. Then you're going to have a section of just methods. Then you'll have a section of constructors. So on the right-hand side of the screen, again, I'm showing you an example of how you would write the category 1, category 2. But in your case, it would be constructor, you list your constructors. You'd go property, you'd list your properties. You'd go method, you'd list your methods. But again, as we implement each type of these categories, we will then tell you what to do and how to work with it. But this is just giving you an overview of what it would look like inside your UML. I'll be drawing a UML with you in a few minutes so you guys can see it, not just hear about it. Okay, and the categories will be added to the UML as the section is covered in class. So as we discuss the different sections, you'll add the categories to your UML. So just keep that in mind. This is how you'd represent your different categories. Before we go there. Another thing we have to consider, special keywords for operations and attributes. I know some of this we haven't covered in class, and we will be covering it, don't worry. Yes, someone raised their hand. I'm going to give you a minute. Can you talk? Okay, moving on. So there's some keywords to represent certain restrictions on a operation or on a property method or on a attribute. I know you don't know what these restrictions are. I know we haven't discussed shared, read only, or write only, but I'm just showing you how to represent it in the diagram. So when we do cover it, you do know how to draw it. So an example of a property method that is a read only would be name, bracket, string, and then curly brackets, read only, curly bracket. So we know that a read only property method. Roughly what that means is I can read the name but never change the name. That's what read only means. It's, look, when it comes to naming conventions in IT, we're not the most imaginative. It is generally what it is. What you read is what it is. So write only, what do you think? If read only allows you to read and only read, what do you think write only is? Ladies and gentlemen, want to guess? Correct. Okay, you got 2 guesses or 3 guesses. Good. Write only means you only can edit. You can never see. Remember I discussed your PIN for your bank account. You have properties that are write only and read only. So this is partly how that comes into play. I can change my PIN, but I can't see my PIN. The bank system can read my PIN, but not change the PIN. So that's where this read only, write only kind of comes into situation. Shared is something else altogether. That we'll discuss in depth when we get to shared, but that's how you indicate something is shared. Is everyone okay with that? Is anything I've covered unclear so far, ladies and gentlemen? Anything I need to recap? Again, it's very theoretical, very high level, but I need to know if you're unsure of any of the ways of drawing are you unclear of, or something I have discussed like the data types, the visibility, the grouping, the size of the array, etc. Anything you're not sure of, please do indicate. For those who are going to be watching the recording, you can indicate on Discord. Shared, I'll discuss later. I'm not going to go into shared today. Shared is a bit more complicated than it sounds. So I'll leave shared for when we actually discuss it in class. Okay. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? If you pass an array as a parameter, let me add something else. So you part, well, then it'd be an array. So let's call it example array integer. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Benavides, and please, could be making a mistake with this one. And say it returns an integer. So that's how I would represent an array in UML, especially as a parameter. Mr. Benavides, is that correct? Well, the array is an integer, and I'm returning an integer. Remember, you have to. Sorry.
We're using that would be the correct implementation.
Okay.
Because it's represented as any other them, so the parameter list will have the exact same association.
Okay, and you're talking on Discord or Blackboard?
On Discord. I mean, on Blackboard.
Okay, so the students, I've got too many applications open. Yeah, we can hear him, thank you. Okay, so thing is, with your, going back to the question earlier, why double integer? With your operations, you have to indicate what the return type is of the operation, of the method. So in this case here, this is a function called example. It accepts an array of unknown size of type integer, and it returns an integer end of the day. So that's for the double integer. If it's a subroutine, then this would be void. That's how we would know if it's a subroutine or a function, the return type. Remember, I'm just giving you an example. This is the standard format we're going to be using for this semester. Look, I don't want to say it's going to be the same for your third year. We are modeling it on third year currently, but UML does change over the years, so it might change by the time you hit third year. So just keep that in mind. But we are trying to this is modeled on third year UML as it is right now. Correct. So subroutines we use void, and functions we return a data. We have a data type specifying it. Okay, let's do an example now together. So we have this lovely picture here. Okay. What classes do we have in this picture? House? I don't know if that's a house. Shops, mall, mansion maybe. Okay. Could be a mansion, so your house could be right. Rooms, hotel, maybe. Compartments. Okay, let's pick something easy. Mall, stores, car, mall. Okay. Mall would be the best here. The mall might cause problems because that would hold composition. I don't want to show composition today. Okay. Stores then. Phone. I think there's Batman asking for change, is there? Okay, you guys are making it far too complicated than it's worth. Okay. You'll do algorithms. The question actually is quite important. It's just been asked. You will still do algorithms in your design. The algorithms will be linked to your form mainly. Your classes will be represented by UML. So any class you make, you just do the UML for. The algorithm we generally reserve for the form for now. I'll Double check with Mr. van der Westhuizen if he agrees with that. But normally we don't want to do the algorithm for the UML as well, because then it just doubles up our work, or doubles up your work at least.
UML is just an outline.
Okay. So I'm going to try. I don't know how visible it's on your screen. I'm actually gonna be lazy. I'm going for the one suggestion on cell phone. So if we pick cell phone as our, we're now drawing the UML. So everyone can see I've got the 3 distinct blocks, correct? You can draw this on paper, you can draw this however you like. I'm picking Word because Word has tables. Okay, everyone okay with me? So we're going to do a cell phone. I'm going to be lazy there. What attributes does a cell phone have? Give me 3 attributes of a cell phone. Instance variables or variables of a cell phone. Okay, there's a screen. Okay, good. Charging port. Okay, I'm getting a lot of instance variables. Fantastic. So we have a, hold on. I think that's enough. We have screen. This I know is not the right data type because screen technically is a screen. What I do here? Let's go with brand screen size. Thank you. Screen size. I'm trying to. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm being a bit like hesitant on certain things, there is other parts of object-oriented program that we're going to teach you that are going to come later on. One of them is called composition. Another one is inheritance, and part of inheritance is polymorphism. I don't want to show you things that are too far ahead in the course. So I'm trying to stick to things that will be relevant for Prac 3, for example. So Prac 3, you're going to be doing you're going to be writing out you're going to be doing a class. So you're going to have to do a class diagram, but you're not going to have composition. So I don't want to show you composition just yet. So screen size, thank you, Ms. van der Westhuizen. And we can go with a double there. Okay. I saw someone else mention a brand, which is string. We had model. A model also could be a string. We had, let's see what else. Password. String. Camera. You can set Boolean true or false. It has a camera. Is everyone getting the point of what I'm doing here? I'm listing all the attributes. Okay. So that's where attributes go. Now, what can a cell phone do? What methods will a cell phone have? Okay, now couple more. Now, good, I've got a few, we'll get some more from you guys now. Would core be public or private? Oh, now that's a good question. Now let's think about it. Call, not sure. Okay, someone at least. No. You must understand. If call is private, that means no one can make a phone call on your phone. Even you. If the method call is private, that means no one can invoke it. So call would be and call would also have phone number, let's just go with integer for now, void. Okay, so call I would make public so I could actually use it. I had some other things that people said. I'm getting some off-topic questions there. I'll come back to them now. Take photo. This would be maybe a void. We would have play music. Song. ID, integer. Void for now. It has a calculator. Takes. Why am I making? Okay, got it. Let me get some of the questions in now. Okay, got some. I think there's calculator. Yeah, you could go double because it would return something. Okay, but a lot of these methods I'm making aren't 100% correct. Please keep in mind that as well. As there's some aspects of classes and objects we haven't taught you yet. So when we teach you them, we can revisit this and make it actually correct. Okay, but okay, your methods are generally public because you want them to be accessible. Okay, within the phone itself. They're public within the phone. They're public within the application. So things we want to be able to do. Okay, put it this way. If you have a cell phone and call is set to private, you can't make a call. So you want call to be public, so your phone, you can make a call. Does that make sense? Okay. Taking a photo with making. Why are the variables private? Because we don't want people messing with those. Okay. That's what we discussed this morning in class, and that's why I've done this category, and we're going to come back to that now. Because we are going to discuss this in depth next week, but there is the category of properties. So here, Can I change, okay, let's actually ask a question. Can I change the brand of my phone? So once the brand is set, we leave it. Can I change the model? No. Can I change the password? Good. So password, and this is where I've got to add something, and before I forget, these all have underscores because we can't have two of the same names. Here we would have a password. This would have password would have, I'm trying to think. Okay. So I'm trying just double checking my logic here. Password would have the brackets to indicate it is a property method, and it's got the category tagging property. So here we can have access to password. We can change it, we can reset it through the property method. We don't have access directly to underscore password. We only have access to password, the property method. So that's where your property methods that came in. We discussed this morning briefly. Password you could do is write only. So you then have write only there. Okay. The chat is sometimes hard to follow your questions because people throw questions in between. The last person, what is the difference? I'm not sure how that relates to the what are you referring to? Calculator is the horribly spelled is a function because it returns a double. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Password, the difference between a variable and a property. A variable stores the information. Okay, so screen size, underscore screen size, underscore brand, underscore model, underscore password, underscore camera, stores the information, the data. The property method allows us to access the data with control. So with password, I can change the password. But only under certain restrictions through the property method. So property method allows us to access the data with access control. So it would be your getter and setter, correct. Property methods are coming a bit more not popular, but they exist in C++, C#, and they exist in VB. So we use property methods because it combines a getter and a setter into one. Another point, brand name, correct, would have a property method. Say this would be brand string read only. Let's add one other one. It's not going to be the right data type, but it will allow us to also look at something else. We're going to have underscore contacts as string. Okay. Most of your practicals will give you the property methods and attributes to a certain degree, but sometimes you have to come up with your own. Okay. Now I've got contacts there. Contacts is a read and write. We can see them, we can edit them. But the property method, this property method is going to be a bit different to the others. Because when you access contacts, do you access all the contacts or do you access one contact at a time? Okay, we got both, one at a time, one at a time. Technically both. So there's two variations here we can look at. This is slightly going ahead in content, but it should make sense. So here you would have contacts, and it would return in this case a string. It's not the correct data type, but for now it's what we have. Okay. Then there's another variation. Hopefully I am not confusing you guys with what I'm doing. Okay, so we have two contacts. This contact will return all the contacts because it's returning an array. This contact will return a specific contact based on the index. Okay, so, and we can have both property methods because they're two different property methods. One property method is accepting a parameter, one property method isn't accepting a parameter. This is something we will discuss later on. Please don't get confused by it, but I'm just showing you the variations in your property methods for now. We'll explain exactly what this is later on. If you're curious about the term, this is called method overloading. We will discuss method overloading later in the module, I promise. It's not something that's going to be completely confusing. I am just showing you a variation in the property methods, as you might need to do something like this next week. I'm not sure. But is everyone clear on the format of a UML diagram? We have our name, we have our attributes, our variables, we have our methods, all our methods. And this is broken up into properties and then our general methods, things that our cell phone can do. Okay, and you can have private methods as well. I'm going to go with what Must van der Westhuizen isn't mentioned. Take selfie, which is private. That means no one can access this method, which I kind of like. You can't take a selfie. Okay, so you can have methods that are private as well. Methods aren't always public. They can be private and restricted from use. Okay, but we'll explain what these type of methods are. They refer to as a helper. What's the point of them? The point of them is encapsulation and abstraction. Okay. Some things we don't want people to see. Remember, abstraction is only allowing them to have access to certain things that is necessary. Encapsulation is the grouping. So what we're trying to do is we say that these are what you can do, but there's more functionality hidden away. Those would be your private methods. Okay, I got a question. What's the difference between the first and second contact? This property contact returns all the contacts in one go. Dump. This contact will return a specific contact based on the index of the contact. So if I say I want the 5th contact, it'll give me only the 5th contact. Okay, actually a very good example given by Melanie, I hope I'm pronouncing it all correct, a password checker in a private. So you would actually have something inside here saying authenticate password. It would accept pass as a string and would return a boolean. Now that you would call to authenticate when someone logs in. So you would have a public login, which accepts pass as a string. And this could be a void or a boolean. But the authentication would occur in this hidden function that the person can't see and can't access. So you can avoid them actually seeing what's happening. The blocks indicate array. So here I have an array of strings representing my contacts, from no contacts to an unlimited amount of contacts. So the same thing occurs here. I'm working with an array. Okay, so the block with those values indicate I'm working with an array and the max and min size of the given array. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like you to do is, going back to this picture, pick something. Oh, now I see the Batman asking for change. Nice, very good perceptive skills there. Pick something in this picture and make a class diagram yourself. Okay, pick something, anything, and make a class diagram, except a cell phone. We're not going to implement it. I want you guys to learn the UML first. So pick something and draw the UML. And then I'm going to get 2 of you to volunteer to draw it on the whiteboard. So I'm going to leave the picture on for a couple minutes. Pick something and draw it. Here's the question itself. Identify a class above, 3 attributes and 2 methods, nothing excessive. So 3 attributes, 2 methods for anything you can see inside here. Nothing, it must be PG. I'm just stating that for writing with a mouse is tough. There is the text feature in the whiteboard, don't worry. I'll show you guys how to use the whiteboard when we get there. But pick anything. For now, draw it on a piece of paper, 3 attributes, 2 methods. Just spend 5 minutes doing that, ladies and gentlemen. And then I want to test if you actually understood what I just spoke about. Okay, you're going to be doing UML for every single prac moving forward. You're going to be doing UML in your, I see some people already leaving to avoid this, the potential of them drawing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You're going to be drawing it in your semester test. You're going to be drawing it in your exam. So the more comfortable with it you are, the better it is. Okay, so again, pick anything you see in there, draw the UML class on a piece of paper, and then maybe 1 or 2 people that want to volunteer can draw it on the whiteboard, then we can have a look. I don't know where the picture came from. I just got hold of it from my old slide. Friday Tut compulsory. What Friday Tut? I'm not aware of any Friday Tuts. We expect, no, it is compulsory to attend one of the Tuesday tutorials and this Thursday tutorial. It is compulsory as much as possible. If you have data and you can attend, by all means attend. If you can't, then you can watch it later on in the evening. I'll put my example back up. Okay. Legend, the tutorials aren't here to punish you. They're here to try to give you a better understanding of the course we're doing. Since we only have 3 lectures a week, which are 45 minutes long, there isn't always enough time to explain everything. So the tutorials are here to add extra detail and just refine your understanding of concepts. So it is important to them. But again, I know some students have limited bandwidth and limited data, so they can't attend everything during the day. That's why we record and upload that you can access them and watch them on YouTube or watch them on Blackboard in the evening when you have Night Owl. But for those who can attend, we do want you to attend so you can essentially assist those who can't attend, because they then can't ask questions. They can ask questions on Discord though. So if you're watching this and you're getting stuck somewhere, by all means message us on Discord. We'll get back to you when we see the message the next day if you message us at night. We're not 24/7 robots that are on Discord all the time. We do actually need to sleep sometimes. Okay. I'm not getting into the debate over Red Bull and Monster. I'm not advocating any energy drinks. You shouldn't need energy drinks. You don't have to do property methods. You don't have to do property methods. Just do 2 methods. Remember, a method is something the class can do. If I take the example of the cell phone again, a cell phone can take photos, it can call, it can play music. It's something it can do. So your methods are the actions the class can take. Three attributes, 2 methods. 3 attributes, 2 methods. So it's not a lot. You don't need to do something as detailed as I've done. I'm just trying to illustrate all the different examples as much as possible. You guys just need 3 attributes and 2 methods. Sure, what's your question? On copyright. Actually, that's a very interesting question, as that's known as self-plagiarism. Is it copyright if I take code from previous code I wrote? It's actually something that does pop up in research papers. This is off topic. So if I write like I did my master's, I wrote that, I then wrote a paper. They do check that the paper I wrote isn't self-plagiarized from my master's. So it is something that does exist. But we do advocate code reuse. So you can take a function or a subroutine from one code and copy it to another code and use it there through using classes. So it's not technically incorrect, not illegal to do.
No, if it doesn't mean that you can copy a function from your friend and use that as reuse.
No, no, if it's your own code, emphasis on your own code, as Mr. van der Westhuizen just said. If it's your own code, then it's within reason. But that's a function or a subroutine that's reusable, like your place results. You could, in theory, copy and paste that from one project to the next. Your own one, that's fine, but not your friends. But in research, there is such a thing called a self-plagiarism. And it's a very painful thing to deal with. Unfortunately, with research papers, you have to produce new research papers, else people just keep publishing the same paper with different terms every month. So research papers have to be unique enough. Okay. We've done 10 minutes. Let's see if we can get some people to do the whiteboard. I was going to see if the settings enabled. Yeah, it is. So, share whiteboard. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to type something, you actually, I don't know if you guys can see it in the top corner, there is a text command, so you just type. So if 2 students are willing to, try draw your UML on. Doesn't matter if you did it right or wrong. No one's going to blame you. Just do it and then we can have a look at it. At least then you'll know if you've done the right thing or not. Okay, this is like, we call this peer review. Dog. Okay. Okay, good. Good. That's the 3 attributes. What get in the 2 methods? Excellent.
Just so that you guys know, we know who's drawing.
Oh, sorry, I deleted everything by mistake. The gentleman doing the dog, you are on track perfectly. Your attribute was done correctly. So well done there. Mr. Olivier, yeah, the dog was right. You had your name, your 3 attributes, and your 2 methods. So that's correct. That's what we were looking for. Someone else try. Mr. Pathan, which one were you doing? Just pick a side. Let me just do this. Uh, okay. So we've got someone doing the Wi-Fi router on this side. Someone can try one on this side as well. I wasn't aware that erased the entire whiteboard. And someone copied and pasted. No, it's fine. Don't stress. Batman. Properties hard. It looks correct. I just can't see the end of it. I can't see the next point. But it looks like you were on track in terms of the name and the set divide, the 2 attributes, the divide, and then yeah. So it looks like it was on the right track. I do apologize, Mr. Olivier, in terms of deleting it. You did a lot of aspects for Batman. Nicely done. Okay, the person doing the Wi-Fi router, just remember, you will need to have your divisions, and you're missing your data types. So SIM card, what it is, switch, what it is, color, what data type, brand, and this section here. This section here, I'm not sure if these are your properties, but they're also missing their data types. So just remember, there must be a data type that goes with these. Or hell of you guys. Vending machine, okay. Type string, good. Item code. Good use of a array. I know it's difficult working with a mouse and trying to draw, actually write. It is a pain, I know. Okay, so vending machine, what methods are you going to have? Let me help you out there. Makes sense. Internet connection. Actually, it's a good question. Would internet connect the one doing the Wi-Fi route? I'm still assuming it's the same one. Your internet connection would be, I think, private to some degree. Because it's depends what internet connection you're thinking about. It might be internet connection in terms of the details to connect to the internet or the actual connection itself. So that would change. Excellent work on the person doing vending machine. It's correct. Okay, you're just missing. But let me just tweak something for you. Always remember your colons. Okay. But vending machine type, item code, integer. I know this around the space, size, double, select. Select the. You could say select item. Void, take money. Void. You're on the right track. It's looking good. The person doing cars and engine, boolean, gearbox, integer, car wires, integer, method, plus, tires. Is that tires? Tires wouldn't be a method. A method would be, what does a car do? tires would form a attribute more than anything else. Cars can drive, so a method would be drive. A method would be brake. A method would be drift. Method park. That would be a method, yes. Can I see the person that is working on the Wi-Fi router? Just remember the colons between the name of the attribute and the type. I wonder if I can tweak. I don't know. No, I can't tweak yours. So just remember SIM card, and SIM card will be one word. String, properties, password, yeah, password. Since it's a property, it's generally public, because you need to be able to access a password to maybe change and set it. Your methods, don't forget the packets and your internet connection. Yeah, on the right track there. I was going to say select item code integer. That is actually would be correct. I was going to use select item code along integer void. Yeah, you could do item code inside here. That would be correct. Okay. I do thank the students that have taken this endeavor to work on the whiteboard seriously and done proper diagrams. The ones that are playing tic-tac-toe, I'm not going to say much. But those who have taken this a bit seriously, thank you very much for your cooperation. It does help to see that you guys are trying to understand this at least. But most of it, you guys are on with the basic idea, which is good. Just remember the naming. I'm just tweaking Wi-Fi one a bit. The name of your class is always one word. You can't have spaces between your class names. Yeah. I'll explain why for Wi-Fi I've gotten added the underscore SIM card underscore switch underscore color. You can't have a attribute with the same name as a property. We'll explain that on Monday during the lecture when we discuss methods, or we discuss property methods in detail. But well done for those who have attempted this. Most of you have done something that is in the right direction, if not correctly done. I don't judge you on your handwriting. You haven't seen mine. It's worse. So well done for those who have done that. And I thank you for doing that. Can I clear the whiteboard now? Or is someone still writing out a class? I'm not sure. Yes, I can clear, or yes, you're writing out of class. Okay. Okay. Do you guys understand the idea of the class diagrams now? Okay. It's not something to be nervous of or scared of, but you're getting there. Good. It takes time. Like, okay. Quick. Poll. Multi-choice. That's interesting. Okay, I'm throwing a poll because I'm curious about something. How many of you knew how to program before this year started? Yeah, as I thought. Okay, okay, for the 11, no, haven't responded yet. Legend, as I kind of actually guessed already, a lot of you never knew how to program before this course started. Okay, you might have done you might have done high school, so yes, you did program there, but a majority of the students in informatics and even comp sci had never programmed before. So just take this year as an example. You started off with something you had no clue, but now you can understand for loops, while loops, you can write a bit of code, you can make an application work. What did it take? Did you just suddenly wake up one morning and realize how to program? Practice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, effort, practice, and understanding. That's actually a good word there. And perseverance. Okay, mental breakdowns. That mental breakdowns comes in honors. Don't worry. That's if you haven't had one yet. Okay, so you guys, UML, you'll get more comfortable as you do them more. But yeah, I just wanted to see if I was accurate in my grasping of the group. But most of you have never well, this year is your first year programming, so it takes a bit of time. You dream of loops in your sleep. I'm so sorry for you. Okay. Let's get back to. Okay. I don't want to try keep you guys here except long. And the question. Okay. Okay, you got just going off. The one question I see is how do you do algorithms for recursion? How do you do algorithms for recursion? Let me think now. You just write out what's happening. It's not. There's no special technique for the algorithm for recursion. You just write out the steps that you're doing. What is your base case? Let's do something. Um, Okay. This is not the algorithm. This is just the code. Then I'll do the algorithm. Right. The algorithm would be hell. That would kind of be the algorithm. I'm trying to think. Mr. Manifestos, in your comments on this?
The algorithm would be the same as a regular function, except the fact that it has a self call. So generally, it's the same as a regular function. You just have that one indication where it calls itself.
No, but they're asking how they do the algorithm in the pseudocode for this.
The same as a regular function. Because you write out a function, you'll state that this function does the following properties or the following code set, and then
So
in that function you'll just refer to the fact that this piece where you have sequence bracket n-1 bracket, you'll just refer to the fact that it calls the function again.
Okay. Yeah, something like that. Looks fairly similar, but remember, the point of an algorithm is to explain the steps of the code, or pseudocode, is to explain what's happening in a way that someone else can understand, someone that's not a programmer. There is a couple formal approaches I've looked online, but there's no fixed approach that we have in Informatics 1 on like this is what this algorithm must look like. So you can take an example of what I've done here, or you can do another variation, but the main thing is we don't want to see that you copy and pasted the code from your VB into the design. Does that answer your question, Mr. Olivier? Or Olivier? I don't know if it's English or Afrikaans pronunciation. Okay. The next English. Okay. Now the next one I see, I'm struggling to display the sequence. What do you mean the sequence? Okay, he's out of the chat right now. Okay, I'm basically done with the UML section of the tutorial today, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have any Q&A questions, you're welcome to actually ask and we'll answer them. That's why I've done the the algorithm for the sequence. Any other questions you guys may have? I'll wait for the gentleman to come back because I see he's left the group, and I need clarification on his question. Okay, what this sequence does, for those who are wondering, we just add up values until 1. So I could say 10 and it'll add 1 all the way to 10, or 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 downwards. Any other questions, throw them in chat, or you can go on, you can use your microphone, it's up to you. A stacked overflow, if there's no while loop, means your recursive function isn't ending. You're getting a stack overflow. That means the base case isn't being invoked. That means it's never, in this case, it's never reaching 1. So for me to avoid that, I'd go less than 1 to make sure if it gets anything below 1, it kind of stops it from screwing over the system. But your base case isn't being invoked properly. So there's something wrong with your base case. Or your data tape runs out of space. Okay, that's also. When you're timesing, you might run out of space. So what should we display for the Perlin sequence? The question actually says display the sequence up until the nth term, but we will accept either displaying the sequence until the nth term or the nth term itself. Is that correct, Mr. van der Westhuizen? I know you're setting the memo. Okay. So for the Perlin sequence, you can we're going to say give us the 5th sequence, 5th term. You either can display all the values up to the 5th term, or just the 5th term itself. But whatever value is specified by the assistant, you can't hard code it. We'll all be looking. Okay, the TUT ends soon, so if you have last minute questions, please ask. Else we're already hitting an hour and a half, so I don't want to keep your data too long or use up too much of your guys' data. An earlier question was how do we access the TUTs? Either Blackboard or YouTube for now. I'm trying to figure a way for you guys to access on Eve, but the file sizes are quite big in terms of 150, 140 megs. So I'm trying to reduce a way around that. Okay, for test data, you'd have 3 test data. You'd have what is the actual answer for the first sequence, what's the answer for the second sequence, and then the Perlin sequence up until whatever term you're testing. Is it the same for the other 2 sequence calculations? No. The other 2 sequence calculations, you've got the sequence. We want to know what the result of that sequence added or times together is. Yes, the third sequence will have an input box or a text box that the tutor has to then enter a value in, and then you generate the term. So yes, you're required to have an input box or a text box for us to enter a term. The PERN is not just a calculation, no. The PERN, we want to know what the sequence value is. The first 2 are calculations. The third one is what is the nth or the nth term. Like Fibonacci or factorial. If I say 5 factorial, I want the answer of 120. I don't want to know everything leading up to it. If I say 6 factorial, I want 720. So that's the same as a Pern sequence. We don't want you adding the Pern sequence. We just want the nth term displayed. Yes, it does fall in the same category, yeah. It's a different calculation, but you can think of it as the same type of result that we're expecting in terms of the Pern sequence and the Fibonacci. Or let me specify the same type of output. No, 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 no. I want the third term. You must give me what is the third term of the sequence. Not the other way around. Starting at 0, I do believe yes. The Pern sequence does start at 0. And my thing just froze. Why is my frozen?
In the practical below the formula, I actually gave you the sequence.
Yeah. Yeah. The 0 term is 3. Yeah.